shown a complete indifference to the value of human life and to international laws and norms. Even as efforts to bring the war to an end advance, he seeks to gain advantage at the negotiating table by intensifying Russia's relentless onslaught on the front line and on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. He must never be allowed to succeed. Ireland is a small country, and like all small countries, we rely on the rule of international law for our security and safety. We believe in the principles of the United Nations Charter, in the sovereign equality of all states, and in the obligation on members of the United Nations not to use or to threaten the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. Ukraine has a right to live in peace and freedom, and the people of Ukraine have shown great courage and resolve in defending themselves and in seeking to vindicate their rights. Ireland stands with Ukraine in affirming these principles and these rights. It is shocking that the people of Ukraine are subject to nightly onslaughts of Russian missiles and drones. The people of Ukraine deserve to be safe in their own homes. Their children deserve to sleep safely in their own beds. Ireland will continue to support the people of Ukraine for as long as it takes. To date, Ireland has provided over €340 million in financial support to Ukraine, including over €170 million in humanitarian supports and €166 million in non-lethal military assistance. And today I am pleased to announce that we will provide a further €100 million in funding for non-lethal military assistance and another €25 million to help Ukraine support its energy system. Russia is deliberately and cynically targeting energy plants and infrastructure in Ukraine, knowing how difficult winter can be and hoping to weaken the resolve and morale of the Ukrainian people. We are making our contribution to help to ensure that Putin does not win. We have in addition also, of course, invested significantly in providing a safe haven for Ukrainians who have sought refuge from the war in Ireland. In our meeting today, the President and I discussed how much we both value the strong and positive relations between our countries. We are both committed to seeing them continue to strengthen and to grow in coming years. The focus for now must be on how Ireland can help Ukraine defend itself and its people. But peace will come to Ukraine. I profoundly hope that day will be soon, and Ireland will be ready to work with Ukraine and our international partners to help underpin that peace and to support Ukraine in its journey of recovery and reconstruction. Today we signed the 2030 roadmap on the Ireland-Ukraine partnership, an agreement to strengthen our bilateral relations, including in areas such as cyber resilience, educational cooperation, including between universities and technical institutes, and culture. We are also both focused on how we can further strengthen economic ties between us, including business-to-business, trade and investment programmes. After our meeting here, we will both attend the inaugural meeting of the Ireland-Ukraine Economic Forum, a chance for businesses here to hear directly from the President on economic opportunities for trade and investment in Ukraine. Ireland believes that one of the most important guarantees of Ukraine's future security is its membership of the European Union. Ukraine is part of our European family. It shares the same values. It belongs in the European Union. We will continue to work, including when we hold the EU presidency next year, to advance negotiations on its membership as much as we can. The people of Ukraine are working extremely hard to achieve their EU ambitions, and they deserve our backing. EU membership transformed our country and underpins our prosperity, and we want the same for our Ukrainian friends. Finally, I took the opportunity of today's meeting to thank the President for the immense contribution that the Ukrainian people who have sought refuge in Ireland have made to communities up and down our country. Thousands of Ukrainians have come to Ireland since Russia's full-scale invasion. Some have returned home, some have stayed. They have been welcomed into the homes and hearts of Irish people, and they have become a part of the rich tapestry that is today's Ireland. When we attend the Ireland-Ukraine Economic Forum, among the businesses we will meet will be Ukrainian-led and owned enterprises that have been set up here by people fleeing the war. Ukrainians at home and abroad have shown themselves to be immensely resilient, innovative and creative, qualities that I like to think we recognise and share. President Zelensky, as a country with a long history of migration of our own, as a people that at times in our history have known conflict and have sought refuge and opportunity abroad, as a people who have seen peace come and our country transformed, know that for as long as Ukraine needs our help and support, Ireland will be there for you. Your struggle is our struggle. Your success will be our success. We are with you for as long as it takes. Mr. President, Volodymyr, you and the First Lady are most welcome to Ireland. We will continue to do all we can to support a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. I've always been clear that nothing can be decided about Ukraine without the involvement of Ukraine, and we will be with you when peace prevails to support the recovery and reconstruction of your country. Thank you, and Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Mr. Micheál, dear Taoiseach, our dear team of Ukrainians present here, dear journalists, dear Ireland, today marks the first official visit, and Micheál mentioned that, and it's a given fact. It's an official visit, first official visit by a Ukrainian president to Ireland since the establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries, and it comes at one of the most challenging and yet optimistic moments at the same time. Now more than ever, there is a chance to end this war. It was here in Ireland this morning that our delegation gathered after meetings in America with the US President's team. And there are now 20 points that were developed in Geneva, and they were worked upon additionally and finalised in Florida. Some things still need to be worked out from what I saw. America is taking serious steps to end this war, one way or another, and our task, and I'm sure that this is our common task for everyone in Europe, is to really end this war, the war, not just to get a pause in the fighting. We need a decent, dignified peace, and for that to happen, everyone must be on the side of peace. Everyone in Europe and all nations that value peace. Ireland is a neutral country, but it is certainly not an indifferent country. We're grateful to it. You're helping us, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it very much, both. And Ireland's influence really matters because it is the influence of a large global community. May your influence always work in a way that is fair. Today, I informed both Micheál and his team about the negotiations and the current prospects, and thank you for your support. Today, we also discussed in detail the entire bilateral agenda in detail. This concerns our resilience. There is assistance from Ireland, energy support, as well as a humanitarian support package. We are very grateful for all that. We have approved a roadmap for partnership between our countries, Ukraine and Ireland, for at least the next 5 years. We hope that during this period, Ukraine will become a member of the European Union, and we're grateful to you for your support on this path. We appreciate that Ireland always takes an honest and a principled approach to issues of pressure on Russia, and above all, the issues of sanctions policy. Sanctions must remain in place as long as the Russian occupation and the Russian abuse of our people continue. The abuse of Ukrainians. Today we also discussed the position on frozen Russian assets. It is high time to transfer them to Ukraine so that we can reliably ensure both our defence and our recovery. And this will benefit not only us, but also our partners. We will give more orders to countries that help us. We hope that Ireland, not only on its own, but together with all those who listen to Ireland in the world, will support the need to hold Russia accountable for its aggression, accountable for all they've done and committed, the accountability for its aggression. Work is currently underway on the continent to establish a tribunal that will be able to punish Russia for the crime of aggression and war crimes, all war crimes, and ask you to participate more actively in all joint efforts to hold Russia and its accomplices legally accountable. Of course, we have a large layer of humanitarian and cultural cooperation. And the First Lady of Ukraine is with me on this visit. Olena is expanding the Coalition of Ukrainian Studies, which will be a global coalition, and we invite Ireland to be part of it. Today, 3 Irish universities joined our Coalition of Ukrainian Studies, and we thank you for that. And of course, I would like to express my special gratitude to the Government of Ireland, to all the communities of Ireland, to every Irish home that has sheltered our people here. It is not easy. After all, it has been almost 4 years of full-scale war, of challenge of these dimensions. But we're doing everything we can to ensure that our people can return home safely to a country of peace. We're working towards this goal, and I believe that we can achieve it. I thank you for your respect for our people, for your respect for Ukraine, and for the fact that Ireland stands with us, not simply for political reasons, but because Ireland sincerely defends the rights of peoples to life, free and independent. Thank you once again. Glory be to Ukraine. Suspilna, Public Broadcaster of Ukraine. First question to you, Mr. President. You mentioned the peace plan. The special envoy of Trump went to Moscow after the negotiations with Putin. Further steps will have to take place. Will Europe be part of this process? And there are also points that are not
frozen assets. So do you see any possibilities of reaching the final agreement at the EU Council in December, given all the concerns and demands which Belgium has expressed before? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Micheál. Thank you for your question. First and foremost, there will be a meeting of the American delegation in Russia. We will be awaiting for respective signals from them. They would like to report immediately after the meeting, specifically to us. I think, based on these signals, depending what they will be like, will depend the future of our future steps. These steps will be changing today almost on an hourly basis. We will be getting signals, and if those signals are going to work as fair play, if it's a fair play with our partners, if it's going to be perceived as fair play by our partners, perhaps we will then meet very soon. We will soon meet with the American delegation. At what level we'll see, it depends again on the signals we're going to get. If the signals are going to be like, that will give us the opportunity and a chance of quick solutions, global and quick solutions, then the level will be high. If this is still going to be at the level of dialogue, there's been a lot of dialogue, but we need results. Every day our people are dying. With all due respect to all nations of the world who are supporting and helping us, some of them do, some of them don't, unfortunately. It's Ukrainians who are dying. The dialogues can continue, of course, but we need the results. We need the outcome. We can simply talk, or we can achieve the maximum results so we could bring the end of the war closer. I'm prepared to support all signals. I'm prepared to meet with President Trump. It all depends on today's talks. Thank you.
And could I say, first of all, I endorse that message very strongly. A peace settlement is required. A ceasefire is required. Too many people are dying in what is a terrible and horrific war. In relation to the immobilised assets, The Irish position is very clear. We support the utilisation of the immobilised assets to fund the reconstruction of Ukraine and to support Ukraine financially. We support the Commission's proposals in terms of a collateral loan on the back of these immobilised assets towards that objective of supporting Ukraine financially and also the reconstruction. The principle underpinning our position is that when the UN Charter is violated in such a brutal manner, when there is devastation of civilian infrastructure, energy infrastructure, of cities and so forth, there has to be a deterrence against such behaviour into the future. And in my view, the application of the immobilised assets represents both a deterrence to future activity. There has to be accountability, there has to be some responsibility on the aggressor who has wreaked such devastation on a country. Secondly, there's a very practical issue of the enormity of the reconstruction of Ukraine and the cost of that, and who's going to pay for that. It cannot just only be the European taxpayer. Europe did not start this war. Europe tried everything to prevent this war. European leaders, I witnessed their reports back to us when they pleaded with President Putin not to invade Ukraine. So that is our position. I hope that the December meeting will come to a conclusion. We fully respect the concerns of the Belgian government, fully respect, and these issues have to be ironed out, and it has to be a collective agreement across the European Union. And yes, it will be challenging to get that collective agreement, but Ireland's very clearly supportive of the Commission's position.
Thank you. Next question to Paul Cunningham.
Paul Cunningham from RT. Lascovo prossimo di Irlandi, pane Presidente. If I can ask you first, you mentioned the need for a fair and decent peace plan. Some believe that your Parliament faces a real dilemma, either a bad peace deal soon or a worse peace deal next year or the year after, given some Russian advances in around towns like Pokrovsk, which they claim to have taken. What's your response to that analysis? And Taoiseach, you mentioned about the big push for Ukraine to join the European Union. We have many tens of thousands of Ukrainians here who are on temporary protection. If they're going to be joining the European Union, can't you make a one-off to ensure that they will be able to apply for citizenship and they wouldn't have to wait 5 years, because at the moment the clock hasn't started ticking because they're under temporary protection? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. First and foremost, I'd like to say there will be no simple solutions. We understand that what's happening, we understand who we're dealing with. The question is, it's not about the complexity of decision-making. Those who are capable of making these decisions will do that. I am capable of making decisions. It's important that this should be all open and fair and just. So there would be no game behind Ukraine's back. Nothing would be decided without Ukraine, about our future. If we're talking about the guarantees for security of Ukraine, there are, and there is a signal about the frame document, then we have to clearly understand what it's going to be like and how it's going to work. At least basic things. Because, you see, it's not an experiment for us. We're talking about our people, our living people. The Russians started the war, and there are no alternatives in this formulation. They started the war. The world is a witness to that. They came with the aggression to annihilate us. We stopped them. Europe helped us. America helped us. Russia has not managed to occupy Ukraine because of the resilience of Ukrainian people and the strength of Ukrainian army and, of course, our partners. We stopped them, and as the United States said, we stopped them shedding a lot of blood, and we fully support them. But we have to stop the war in such a manner that in 1 year Russia would not come back with a third invasion over the last 10 years. That may happen. That can happen because that was their main objective. They have not reached their objectives to occupy our state. I'm not sure that their objectives changed. They could have postponed their objectives, but we need support, a defense for that. What will happen tomorrow when our soldiers will go back home fairly go back home. Unfortunately, not all of them. Many of them won't come back home alive anymore. When they go back home, become engineers, teachers, various professions, and they'll come back. But Russia will continue building up their army and defenses, preparing for the next invasion. Who can tolerate and endure that? Our people are strong. But with all due respect, that's why we want a certainty. We're grateful to the United States for the fact that they are prepared to be a guarantor of this security. But we want these guarantees. We want to understand this. We're grateful to Europe. We are grateful for Ukraine being seen in the European Union. And for us, it's important when this century or next century we're going to be in the European Union. So a certainty for Ukrainian people is what we need.
Was one of the early advocates and supporters of Ukrainian membership of the European Union. It is a critical part of the future security of Ukraine, but also as a country that has experienced the transformative impact of membership of the European Union, we believe the Ukrainian people deserve to experience similar transformative impact of being a member of the European Union. And that would give freedom of movement to all Ukrainians and all Europeans, which is a very basic principle of the Union. We don't contemplate advancing that in advance of membership, although what we're endeavouring to do when we assume the presidency of the European Union in the latter half of next year is to accelerate the enlargement agenda. That is one of the key objectives for the Irish presidency, to see can we get chapters negotiated. We've discussed that, and we'll be very proactive in that regard. We will continue to engage with the Ukrainian community in Ireland, and obviously we understand it's under the BOTP at the moment, the directive, but obviously we're going to have to work with the Ukrainian community who've been here for quite some time now, since the war. Many have come, many have gone back to Ukraine or elsewhere, and many are contributing in terms of work and in terms of setting up businesses as well.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer from Bloomberg.
Hi, President. A question for you. You said that the latest plan that emerged from the recent talks looks better. Can you give us some details of what's in it? And do you have plans to meet with US Envoy Steve Witkoff in the coming days?
Thank you.
Yesterday, and with him and with all his team, and we spoke. I think I already answered on your question that we are waiting for the results in America-Russia negotiations, today's results, and I will react according to the results. If I feel that we can count on real, specific dialogue, not just words, with some result, we will meet, and he's very welcome to Ukraine. But I'm not sure that they are up on this way, this day, they're ready to come. But who knows? So I want to wait till today's evening. And what about the points? I'm not sure that I'm ready to share all the points of this plan, but I think that you saw a lot of things in media. But what can I say? I think that the most sensitive things and the most difficult questions, or questions with the challenges, it's about territories. It's about frozen assets, because I can't just myself speak on behalf of European leaders. It's about money, which are frozen, but in Europe. It's about common decision of Europeans. I can only have partnership and share my view of this and support, and they can support me, but I can't decide on behalf of leaders about the money which are in EU. And this is the third point I mentioned about security guarantees, and we count on strong security guarantees from the United States, both United States and Europe and some other leaders. And you know that the topic of coalition of the willings is we work with this. So I think these three topics, the most sensitive and the most important, and I think that our teams will continue work on it. Thank you.
Okay. Our final question from Louise Byrne.
One more.
Thank you. President Zelensky, yourself and the Taoiseach both spoke about the number of Ukrainian people living in Ireland, and you said yourself it has not been easy. The Irish government recently reduced the number of guaranteed days that a Ukrainian refugee is in state accommodation. Are you concerned that that means that the support that the Irish government once had for Ukrainian refugees is not as strong as it was? And then Taoiseach, may I ask you, you've spoken at length about the supports that need to be put in place for Ukraine after the war. What does that look like from an Irish point of view, and will Ireland be sending peacekeepers to the Ukraine?
Yeah.
Okay, I go first now, will I?
Yeah. Please, Micheál.
Or do we want consistency? Okay. Could I, will I go?
Yeah, please.
First of all, we will continue to support Ukrainians in Ireland, and in respect of future support of Ukraine, in the event of a ceasefire or a peace settlement, yes, Ireland will be open to monitoring any ceasefire or indeed aspects of a peace settlement. We have long experience in the Lebanon, in Africa, in terms of peace monitoring, peacekeeping, and certainly we're all wishing for the end of the war. And Ireland is certainly open to contributing to peacekeeping and to peace monitoring in Ukraine. We are also obviously willing to help in reconstruction, and quite a number of Irish companies are operating within Ukraine, and particularly in the construction field. I think there's a lot that can be done there. We already provide a lot in terms of shelters for schools, school meals, and we provide supports in those areas, humanitarian supports and so on. And we're open again to doing, along with our European Union colleagues, to invest in a range of programs to support the reconstruction of Ukraine.
If I may, I will answer that in Ukrainian. Ireland, from the very beginning of the war, chose this side, in my opinion, an honest side, not because I'm the president of Ukraine, but because that's the right thing. It's values-based. And Ireland chose the side of supporting Ukraine and helping Ukrainians. Ireland has been helping Ukrainians who stayed behind in Ukraine, and has been helping Ukrainians who have moved to Ireland. And we're grateful for that. The way I was brought up is that I can't criticize for help, whether it's getting more or less. We should be grateful. We should be grateful and not to forget about this. And I do believe very much that you've been doing this not just to help us simply, but you've been doing this because you understand what we were going through. You understand it, I think, historically speaking, and based on values. And therefore, we are grateful for your choice. The question is not about the size of help assistance. It's about the choice. Thank you.
Thank you.